Hello, hello, hello. This is Miss Camille and Mommy Chronicles. Well, today I'm going to take a sweet minute to talk about the vasectomy. Just a sweet minute. So, as I stated before, my husband and I have 4 children. My ex-husband. That's another story for another day. We have 4 children. So, Nene, the baby girl, is 27. This is a quick picture of everybody. One Christmas. Nene, the baby, is 27. She'll be 28 in November. Little Kevin will be 29 in October. So that's so funny because I'm going to talk about that one day, birth control. Getting pregnant back to back 2 years in a row. But anyway, little Kevin will be 29 and Nene be 28. So they are 13 months apart. 13, 14 months apart. No, they're 13 months. Yeah, something like that. Well, I'm just going to take a minute. So the vasectomy. So after I had Nene, we had 4 babies. My husband come up to me at my job. I had my own beauty salon at the time. He walked in one day with the papers because he had said after Nene was born, if you don't get your tubes tied, I'm getting a vasectomy. And you know how you be like, whatever, ever. But honey, sure enough, after that 30, I went back to work after 30 days, and that 40 days came, and I didn't go back and got my tubes tied. He come in the beauty salon with the paper, said, doctor said, sign right here, I'm getting a vasectomy next week. Because he said, we already got 4 kids, I don't want any more kids, and even if, he said, even if something happens and you move on or whatever, he said, I don't want no kids with nobody else. I have 4, I'm good. Well, honey child, I signed the papers. He got the vasectomy. So the surgery, the cons of it is that you have to wait about 2 weeks after the surgery to have sex. And not only that, you have to wait up to let me see, it's recommended that you use contraceptive up to 3 months after the surgery, because sometimes the sperm's still in there. Another con is that you can't have any more kids, which I've already mentioned that. And the number 3 con is that after the procedure, he was sore for a couple of days under there. The little incision is about, let me see, the little incision is about that big, little snip tuck. And as I was doing some research, because this is almost 30 years ago, so I did do some research on the modern that they have it now where you don't even have to get any, it's called non-scalpel vasectomy. It's they do something with a scope or whatever and don't have to do no cutting or whatever. I don't know, but you can read that up on that research there. But anyway, those was 3 cons, but it was funny because I know a lot of people think if you get a vasectomy, it ain't gonna work. Same thing about the hysterectomy, which I've had one of those too, so we'll talk about that another day. But the thing of it is, besides having to wait 2 or 3 weeks after the surgery to have sex, besides not being able to have any more children, besides it's only being a 2-hour surgery, he was in there and got a little cut about that big. I don't even think the cut was as big as a dime, the length of a dime, literally. They just went in there and snipped it. Besides all of that, once we got through the 3 months contraceptive, because he said he didn't want no more, everything else worked fine. Fine. Everything was back to normal. Everything worked good and even better. It wasn't the scary part of you thinking it ain't gonna work. It worked just fine for me. Only thing, we couldn't have no more babies. So, besides that, the cons of it was everything worked fine. Didn't have to worry about, so you can enjoy sex more, because as a woman, you don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to get pregnant? You know, because even though you have sex, we already had 4 kids, but in the back of our mind, you know, you always worried, even though you use contraceptive, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Well, even if it didn't work for the 3 months and we slipped up, we still agreed, well, look, if it happens, we keep the other baby, but at least we're not going to just keep having them, because we was like rabbits there for a minute. Bam, 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 bam. Funny thing, I hear people talking about IVF and all that, but every time my husband looked at me, I was pregnant. Then again, we got married young. But anyway, you get to enjoy sex. Another thing, the stitches dissolve, so you don't have to worry about the stitches dissolved in 5 to 10 days. They either dissolve into the skin or they fall off, so he didn't have to really go back to get any major follow-ups or anything. Just check up with his regular health doctor. But it is recommended after the 3 months of using contraception that you could always go back and get a sperm test in 3 to 6 months to see if the levels of the sperm test is going down, right? But other than that, everything worked fine and dandy and handy. And I was a happy wife having a happy life. But that's another story for another day, because like I said, that was almost 30 years ago. Because Nene is 27 going on 28. Kevin's 29 going on, Kevin's 28 going on 29. But we had 4 kids, and my husband said he didn't want to have no more. And he said, if you don't go get a hysterectomy after Nene, because at the time I had Nene back in 1997, it was 90, it's a shame. After your kids get older, you forget their birthdays. I know the birthdays, but they was back to back, literally. I had Kevin, and then I got pregnant with Nene. But other than that, the vasectomy was good. Matter of fact, Nene is married. Her and her husband been married going on 10 years. No, going on about 8 years now, because she's going on 28. They got married when they was 20. And he ended up having a vasectomy. So they had the 2 girls, which is Nyla and Azani, my 2 grandbabies. And he didn't want any more kids, and she didn't want no more kids. And she told him, look, I had the 2 babies, you can get. So that was her thing. She was like, I had 2 babies, you can get the vasectomy. But if the husband is scared of vasectomy, it's not that bad at all. Like I said, everything worked fine and dandy, and we had no problems. Everything was happy. But with that also come along, you know, the men don't have to worry about if their thing is going to work. It still works. But with that being said, I just want you to know my experience. Because I know when I was a little girl, the old people used to set you on the porch and they would tell you, talk about anything. So that's Mommy Chronicles. And I'm going to keep making my little videos. I want to make a video about the empty nesters. That's a good one. I'm going to make that one next. But yes, after the vasectomy, everything worked just fine. It wasn't the end of the world. Like I said, you don't have to worry about everything working, because it worked just fine. And I think when I had Nene, I must have been 28, 29. No, I was 20, 27, 28. So I was getting older, and my husband was like, he didn't want no more kids. But some people keep having them, but he didn't want to have no more. And I'm an only child, and he was the only child, and he was like, 4 is enough. Because like I said, the last 2 literally came back to back to back. So do your research, check Google. It's not the end of the world. People do have vasectomies. They do work, especially if you don't want any more kids. Sometimes you can have vasectomy, but back then I had to sign for my husband to get it because we was married, and he just couldn't go off and do it on his own without consenting me. Which women can consent to birth control without their husband. Well, maybe they can't with permanent birth control. I don't know, because Mona had her two. Mona, my second daughter with grandkids, she had the two boys. She said she didn't want no more, so she did have her tubes tied. But my husband told me, if you don't go get your tubes tied after this last baby, I'm going to get mine done. And that's what he did. All right, well, I just shared a little story. Thank you for coming to my little home and sitting and chatting with me. Until we get the chance to chat again, love them little babies because they grow up before you know it. They grow right before your eyes. Before you know that, they're going to be looking at you eye to eye. So even though you had them today, next year they'll be a year older and they'll be getting older and older. So enjoy your babies as long as you can. Mommy Chronicles.